And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tobacco Show. I am Matt Tobacco from SmokinTobacco.com. I am joined once again by my good friend, Mr. Jonathan M. Carney, as well as my very own Smokin Nicole, who's always here with us now. And we have a very, very special guest with us tonight. We have the wonderful and beautiful First Lady of Cigars, Cynthia Fuente, is joining us tonight. Cynthia, welcome to the show. It is absolutely amazing to have you on here with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's my pleasure as well. Thank you, John. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Smokin Tobacco.
Yes,
I
thank
was
you.
really looking forward to it. Thank you.
We had the pleasure of having Jose Blanco on a few months ago. Um, we talked a lot about a lot of the seed to cigar and tobacco and specific stuff, and we talked a little bit about some other Fuente stuff. But we have some different conversations we're going to have with you tonight. We tried to put together a list of stuff that was maybe a little bit different, a little outside of what we normally ask people, make it a little more fun.
Okay.
But it is a Fuente
Well,
night
I'm
for
ready.
us.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight I am smoking, and I believe Nicole's.
What's today? Wednesday. It's not a Fuente Friday, but to me, any day
Yeah,
is
it's not
Fuente
Fuente
Friday.
Friday yet.
It's a Fuente Wednesday. Yes.
I'm
Sounds
smoking
wonderful.
an Opus 20th. I believe Nicole is as
Beautiful.
well, and you are smoking the Don Carlos Personal Reserve. Am I right?
Yes, I am.
That's a
Yes.
beautiful
The
cigar.
Don Carlos Personal Reserve in honor of my father, Carlos Fuente. I was looking earlier and I was trying to decide, and I almost went with the Fuente Opus X 20th anniversary, especially because I love to match and it blends perfectly with my dress. But then I said I'm going to go with the Don Carlos in honor of my father tonight.
That's a
Yes.
really good cigar. John, what are you smoking tonight, bud?
Mhm.
I'm smoking Casa Cuba. It's the
Ooh.
54 ring gauge. It's pronounced S, not pronounced. It's spelled SEIS, which I believe that's Sace.
Sace, yes, yes.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah. So
also
yeah,
in
Casa
honor of my
Cuba.
father. Beautiful. Very good. So we
Yeah, I
got in
like.
honor of my brother with the
Well,
Fuente Opus X. Yes.
yeah,
And
it's
in
like we
honor of my
planned it.
father with the Casa Cuba. Yes, all right. That couldn't have been planned more perfect, but that sounds wonderful. And I am absolutely enjoying this Cameroon wrapper. It is, I would say it is my favorite wrapper. They're all wonderful, and every country of origin has its specialties, but my number one, I always go back to the African Cameroon wrapper made by the Marifel family,
You,
100%. Like
you know
he
what's
says, if it's not Marifel, it's not real Cameroon.
what's funny
Cheers to that.
is I was having this conversation with Jose when he was on the show, and I think I jumped into one of the episodes of the Meet the Professor show with you and Carlito and Jose and Melanie and Jeremiah, and I think I said it there too. But the Don Carlos Cameroon, every time, and there's a lot of different Cameroons out there. There's a lot of people who give a go with the Cameroon, and they're good cigars. But every time I go back to that Don Carlos, that Mirafel Cameroon, it's always just like the benchmark for me. It's so good. It's my favorite. It's always been a favorite. It's one of the first
Thank
cigars I ever
you.
had. It's actually, I think, the
Yeah.
Don Carlos. I'm trying to think. And I think it might have been my first Fuente cigar that I ever had, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
and I loved it right from the
That,
beginning.
yeah. The Cameroon made by the Marifel family that's grown in Cameroon, Africa, it's
Mm.
one and only. And the flavor, it's true, like you can smoke anything, but like we were saying earlier, just slightly, you always go back home. It's like no matter what I smoke, I enjoy all the different profiles. But when I go back to my Don Carlos number three or my Don Carlos personal reserve, it's like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's just like so comforting. But they're all wonderful. So I'm glad everybody's enjoying Fuente tonight. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a
So it's interesting, Cynthia. The, my experience with Fuente over the last, I'd say 18 years now that I've been smoking, and I went to college here in Orlando, and I believe your niece
You
went
look
there
too
as well.
young.
And
Hmm.
thank you, thank you. It was a while ago, but I started smoking King D. Or,
breaking apart. Hold on.
uh oh,
Is that
attack
you?
dog.
Are
Is
y'all
that
hearing
That could
Jonathan?
be me.
dogs? Yes, it's my two dogs,
Yeah,
but they'll come down.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
oh,
They'll come down,
I
calm down in
thought
about
I thought it
2.
was John's dog.
And I have
I,
earbuds, so I don't think you could have heard it.
I thought it was you,
Apologize.
Matthew. And then when Cynthia asked, "Are you hearing dogs?" I was like, "Wait a minute, nobody's dogs are barking, but we're hearing dogs." But I started smoking
They
King
will.
Bees, or when I started smoking, that was a more milder blend. So I started smoking King Bees, and then I immediately went from King Bees into the Añejo line, and now I've come back to where you're at now, where Cameroon's generally what I smoke most of the time, and it's been interesting to transition through that. And I said my experience personally with Dominican tobacco, that's always been something that's passionate for me, and I'm part of that with my palate. So I'm with you on the Cameroon. I think we can all agree on that. And I I'm actually very jealous because the Don Carlos is by far one of the best Cameroons out there, if not the best. So you're one upping us up tonight, certainly on the cigar side.
Cynthia, I think you're actually muted, and I'm sorry, but I tried to unmute you, but it won't let me. You might have to unmute yourself so we cannot hear you. There we go.
How about
Oh,
now?
oh, right
Better?
there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, when we do meet the professor on Sundays, you see Jose Blanco, and he's telling Gasper, his son, shh. You can hear him like, go away, I'm on the show. And it's so funny because we're live. I mean, this is actually happening. We're in our homes. We're doing all this. So it's like it's humorous sometimes. So I apologize for the actual dog.
Oh,
Actually, one of them is a foster dog. He's not really mine, and the other one is my daughter's dogs. But I love animals,
oh, there you
so
go.
I just like to take care of them and enjoy them. Hmm.
At first, I thought it was John's dog because John's girlfriend has a dog, and her dog's name is also Jonathan, which gets very confusing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay. Nicole, don't you have a dog? Don't you? I I seen that. I seen that. I actually seen that, and then I seen like that beautiful unveiling of the box of with the Great Smoke, which I
Yes.
think was a outstanding day. I watched it from beginning to end. It was like my whole Saturday. And I think that Honest Abe, did such a fabulous job.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, he
It,
really did.
it was surprising because I mean, 8 hours is a long time. I watched about 7 of it. Just I had to drive at one point in time, but I couldn't believe when it was done that 8 hours had passed. I'm sure Abe and it felt very long for them, but watching it was so entertaining that when it was done, I was like, man, it's been 8 hours already. This is over. It was kind of like one more time encore, keep going.
I agree. I mean, he covered every aspect and it was so enjoyable for everybody. And I literally like parked myself, had lunch there, my cocktails, my cigars, and he entertained us in every way and touched our hearts. And it's what I admired about what Honest Abe did was the situation that everybody has faced. And there's so many events that have been either postponed or canceled. He did not want to do that, and he wanted to find a way. And I really enjoyed when you all had him on your show,
Hmm.
and that he wanted to make it work one way or another. And like all his team came together, and they did. It was very, very successful, very successful.
Yeah.
So that means that there's so many other things that we can all do.
Yeah. I want to give a
If
huge
you
shout
really
out to
want
those
to do
guys.
something, you can make it happen.
You can, if you're dedicated and you put in the time, you put in the effort, you can do anything. And a huge shout out to Abe and everyone over at the Smokin crew over there who put in all the work for the Great Smoke. That was a great event. It was very enjoyable. We saw most of it, and it was a blast. And we're looking forward to going down there for the Great Smoke in 2022. So should be a really fun time. But yeah, excellent event. Very professionally
Thank
done,
you.
so impressed, and it was just so much fun to enjoy. So
Look forward to it next year too. We'll be there for sure.
yeah,
I'm going to
uh,
be actually, he asked me if I would join him on his show on March 13th. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
yeah, That would be awesome. That's a good show. Shout out to those guys, KMA. So
Well, you
Cynthia,
know, Jose Blanco, I'm sorry, but Jose Blanco,
okay,
he calls himself my co-pilot. You
yeah,
know, it's so funny. He'll call me and he says, listen, Matthew or whatever, are you interested in being in this show, this, that? And I'm like, of course. And it's like, do you have something on this day? And I'm like, well, our calendar is not like what it used to be, that
right.
we're always on a plane. So now it's like, absolutely 100%, I would love to, because we have really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to be on these different podcasts and to be able to share with everybody all over the globe through the computer. So,
Well, that was going to be my kind of my
so,
first
mhm,
question for you
okay,
was,
okay.
the Fuente, Arturo Fuente is, if you're a cigar smoker, you know Arturo Fuente. I mean, you guys are perhaps one of the biggest names in the cigar industry. Your family is very recognized. You guys are doing stuff all the time. This obviously is a different time for everyone, but you guys especially. No one's really traveling around. Slowly, I think people are starting to travel more again, but for the most part, this last year, it's definitely been a shock for everyone, but you guys especially. So how have you guys adapted, or even just personally, how have you just adapted to having such a
Mhm.
different schedule, not always being on a plane, not just traveling, back and forth like to the Dominican or to events or this and that? It's just you're kind of centralized right now.
Right.
How have you adjusted to that?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, we've act, we have adjusted very well, because, like our brother Carlos says, we're not sitting back, and we
Mm,
haven't sat back. And like, just like everything, when you have the experience and you look back at it and said, oh wow, we could have done this or that and the other, because you already lived through it. Because last March we never would have even believed that we would have been a year later,
mm,
and everything that we've gone through this year. But at all points, we, like my father Carlos Fuente and my brother Calito, myself, we've always communicated and sat down, and whatever problem that we've had or situation, and have said, okay, we're here now. What's the game plan? Where we're going to go and how we're going to make this successful. So at the beginning last year in March, Jeremiah was already thinking, and between, I think it was like a Thursday and a Tuesday, that he came up with Meet the Professor. And it was like, we don't know, let's start at 7 days and then we'll just go by from there. So we really actually didn't know what we were up against, but we tried. And then before you know it, we had made a conscious decision that we weren't going to travel. Everybody was going to stay as safe as they could for our employees, because
mm,
we were shut down in the Dominican, uh, the manufacturing, for a while. And we just absolutely took care of our employees every way. And if we had to work remote, we just found a way. But it's like an example, in my opinion, what my family has done for 4 generations. And going back to my grandfather Arturo and going back to my father Carlos, that through all the adversities that we faced, that we always just found a way, the best way we possibly could. So in this, especially for my brother Carlos and myself and Liana and Tommy and everybody, we're travel so much, which is wonderful. But we're traveling the globe through the computer.
mm,
And so we got used to this new norm, and for us, it has worked out very well. Now, needless to say that we do miss everybody, and we're looking
mm,
forward to the day that we can be in person, because there's no substitute for being together in person and to be able to hug somebody and interact. But in the meanwhile, I just feel like in every way, the Fuente family's always found a way. And I believe that so many different manufacturers have done the same. And like you all have had your podcast now for like almost a year, I think you had mentioned, or almost
almost. Yep.
close to a year.
Yep.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you worked really hard, and it's so professional, and you have put all your effort into it, and it shows. I believe that whoever really has been hungry and wanting to make a success out of this terrible situation we've been in this last year has been successful. Like all the different brick and mortars, all the online, whatever it is. So I feel it's a reflection of the person and wanting to make the best of the situation.
So,
Above all, it's for everybody to be healthy.
so your slogan that's on the Arturo Fuente boxes is the reigning family of premium cigars since 1912. Your company's been around a very long time. It's a family-owned business. It's a family-run business, just like most of the
Mm,
brands in the cigar industry. Family, the Padron family, the Perdomo.
right.
Um, um, would you say that it's that nature? It seems to me like everyone in your family, from your brother to your father to even your grandfather, has that sense of perseverance of like whatever it is, we got to do it and get it done. Would you say that's been kind of like the secret to what's kept that brand around for so long and kept it moving and growing?
A lot of trials and tribulations, like many other manufacturers have as well, because you look at this cigar and it goes from 200 to 300, 250 to 300 hands from seed to smoke, and so much goes into it. And it's such a, I mean, you can love what you're doing, but when you get into the leaf, there's so many different components. And I've witnessed this, and not only with my father, but also with my mother and my aunts and my grandmother and my grandfather, because my brother Carlos and I were brought up around family, and everybody basically who worked in the company was family.
Hmm.
The rollers or whatever it was, the majority of them were family. So, and I always seen that my father just never ever gave up on anything, and he always had such a positive attitude. And there were a lot of hard times, but the main thing is at the end of the day, you're gonna believe that you can do it, because he's always taught us that there's not, it's only if and how.
Hmm.
So, I mean, there's a
So,
lot of hard times, needless
Cynthia,
to say, but
what is your first memory uh, time in the cigar business? What's the first thing that you remember in terms of cigars?
hmm. I remember being a very, very young girl sitting on top of the tobacco bales and watching, like, my cousin. He used to work in the casing department, and I was really small. And every day after school, I would go to the factory. And this one man named Armando Garcia, he used to help me with my math every day. And I just can see it, like I close my eyes and I can actually see, my grandmother working there, my grandfather, and then my grandmother making the Cuban coffee. And then she would tell me, come over here and give me the tray so I can help serve the coffee. So my first memories are like sitting around tobacco. And my cousin, always, he was in charge of the casing. So he would be wetting the tobacco and releasing the natural pneumonia. And every time I come in, he goes, "Oh, come here, Cynthia, I want to talk to you." And he wet me with tobacco juice. So, like, I've literally been in this industry since I was in my mother's womb, because she actually worked for Cuesta Rey, because my father actually couldn't afford to pay her. So he sent her to work for Cuesta Rey so that she can learn as much as she could so she can come back and help him. And she laid wrapper on a machine until she was 9 months pregnant of me. So I think that's kind of really, I feel very proud, and I feel very honored that, we have this legacy of 4 generations. And then I also feel very excited that, where my brother Carlos and I sit now, we kind of sit like in a different place,
Mm.
because we're in our 60s. We've lived this life and we are so animated for the next 20, but yet we also think about the future. And we're very fortunate to have a wonderful team.
It's
It was very, yeah.
it's funny. Nicole was actually talking about, she was reading up on you and your family and a lot of other things, and kind of like about when you were really young and you were little, and I forget what it was, but you were telling me, Nicole, that you read about Cynthia, about the cellophane.
Yeah, so
Something you
she
read
would
about.
help iron on the cellophane, correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was
Yes.
telling him,
Oh,
for your
that's so
whole life,
great. Thank you.
you had been,
Yes.
kind of involved in the cigar industry, just, going home after school and, on the porch, I believe,
Hmm.
and all sorts of stuff. But
Yes,
something I had been talking
yes,
to him is, the future of
uh,
Fuente. We always talk about the
yes,
past so much, with
right, right,
yourself and all of your family. But,
yes.
what does the future like? Who's gonna? I'm like curious. I'm like, who's gonna take over one day potentially, and is it gonna
Yeah.
stay in the
Who's gonna
family?
iron the
And I
cellophane?
know. Well, hey,
Yeah, who's gonna have the
who's gonna?
cellophane? That's a good story because my grandmother Christina, who's was my father's mother, she was a very vibrant woman, and she just always had all the family together and friends. She was so social, but she was in charge of the cellophane department. So I would go after school or in the summers because we spend mostly all the summer there, and so I would actually help her. Every box, the cellophane, you see the little like if you're wrapping a gift, so we would iron one by one, every one of them, and I would help her with this big iron. So, like looking back at it, it's such wonderful memories, and I'm so blessed that I was able to have those, and I forever cherish them. But like looking at tomorrow, it was, very difficult when we lost my father when he went to be with the Lord, and I'm sure many people said, "Oh, well, what's going to happen to Fuente when the old man ain't there?" Is not, and I'm sure they ain't go when Carlos and Cynthia aren't there. But we have worked. My father worked his whole life to build the business, and he gave his life to the business, to his family, to the world, to try to make the best cigars humanly possible. And we've created a wonderful team around us, and we're very, very fortunate in the Dominican Republic and our foundation and our school in Tampa. We have a lot of people that that are very important to us and that are very, very capable to help us continue the future, to help Carlos and I continue the future. And in one way or another, the next generation, they all have a love for their heritage. They all have a love for their family, and they have tobacco in their blood, one way or another.
Mm.
So I'm so yes, and then Liana, my niece, Carlos's first daughter, she's extremely involved, and she 100% has tobacco in her blood and loves it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it does. It's not only one person or two. It takes a village, and
Yeah.
there's so many different components, like I said, to tobacco and to this cigar that we're holding and we're enjoying, and it really takes a lot of people to make it successful.
It's funny, the industry as a whole, you mentioned, your niece Liana. The industry as a whole, I feel for a long time was such whether the industry side, even on the consumer side, is always viewed upon as kind of like man's game, and it was always kind of like, when I was growing up, it was always like cigars were for like older guys. That was kind of like the
Right, right,
stigma,
right.
but
Yeah.
it has evolved and it has changed. And there's a lot more women involved in cigars now, both on the consumer side and in the industry side. And someone like yourself, you really kind of stand alone in a way, as you have the nickname First Lady of Cigars. Being a woman in this industry and getting to, build what you have and get to the position where you are, you've really become a role model, I would say, for a lot of women who are looking to get into the cigar industry or who are in it and
Thank
they're
you.
coming up through the
Yeah.
ranks. What I guess what have you done in your travels and your trials to the top where you are now that has really set you apart from everyone else to really, I guess, get you to stand out in such I guess, a male dominated industry for the most part for a long time?
Hmm. I'm myself.
Yeah.
I'm 100% myself. And I I absolutely love what I do. I love my family and I love being in the cigar industry. And I'm like just I'm so grateful. And I think that and I have such a love for people. God made me this way. It's him. I mean, he put this heart in here, but I just have such a love for people. So uh as a child, being so surrounded by people always in the manufacturing aspect. And then after college, I traveled throughout the whole United States, working and trying to build the brand. And those days were very, very different. But in my generation, it was not common to see a woman out in the marketplace. So when I grew up, women were very predominant, but it was more in the manufacturing aspect, and they were very supportive. But a woman like running a business or in the forefront or in the marketplace, it was very unusual. So I believe that that's one reason why I stand alone, because there wasn't too many people in my generation. There was a few other ladies that were daughters of other manufacturers, but nobody maybe like stayed. So maybe that's one reason like I stand out. But nevertheless, I believe that through our travels and everything, like we just spread our love, because we really feel like everybody that I meet, everybody has a different story, or they want to share like their first experience of cigars or what have you. And I really genuinely love listening to everybody and hearing it. And it's like I just fall in love with people all over the world. So maybe that's something. And I really feel honored that you say that, Matthew, that I'm an example or a role model for ladies. I would like to feel that I am, because I believe that if women do have a love for the leaf, that there's so many opportunities, and this is such a wonderful industry. You have to really love it, and you really have to be dedicated, but that there's so much room, and women are being welcomed more and more, and we see it. Like social media is a prime example.
Oh, very true.
So yeah, yeah. And I love to see it. And now in the younger generation, like where Liana is, there's other girls like Lisette, Ernest's daughter. There's other daughters or other women that have come up, and they're in the forefront running the businesses and very involved in the leaf. And I think it's a wonderful thing. And I think you men are welcoming it. I think you'll love it. The
Yeah.
second example, Nicole, she's your partner. Like to see both of you, you can clearly see that you three are a team. And when I'm watching your show, I enjoy it, and I can see the engagement, and I can see that Nicole, you and Matthew are together in this, and you're fighting for it together, and you three are making this a success. So I think it's beautiful. So there it is, a beautiful lady involved in the industry.
Well, we love it for one. You know, it is something that we enjoy to do together. But I did have a separate question for you. So, you know, I had been
Okay.
reading, especially about the Between the Lines cigar, and how you had input in creating that cigar, correct? And I was curious, how one, how did that come about, and two, what other cigars have you, if you have had input with at Fuente?
Hmm.
In terms of the
Yeah,
blend, you
the
mean?
blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Well, I've always been around tobacco, always, and I lived in the Dominican. I raised my three children there. So I've done, like, we don't really have titles. We never really
Okay.
concentrated on titles. It was like do whatever's needed to be done. So I've experienced all different aspects of the business. My father and I worked in accounting for so long. We actually did all of the books ourselves when the business was much smaller. And so I worked in the factory in the Dominican, and I always loved being involved because I love the tobacco. I will always loved when it was planting season, and I remember even taking my nieces and my children out there so they can see how the tobacco, starts from seed to when it's in the barns and so forth. So I've always, and so like for an example, when a brand was being developed, like when my brother Carlos was working on the Fuente Fuente Opus X line, we would all sit down together and smoke it, and then, well, what do you think of this, or what do you think of that? When my father were working on the Casa Cuba brand, we were smoking it together, and then you compare, like you may have a few different cigars that you made, and then you smoke them, and you say, you know what, I like this, add a little bit more of this or that. So in one way or another, I've always been involved in all the different aspects. And well, my brother's a master blender. Juan B. Sosa works for us. He is too. Ariosto Mendez. I mean, we have a lot of people that really know tobacco. But I also have a love of tobacco, so I've been involved in it. I've been involved a little bit in everything. But one of my fondest times in my life that I'm so grateful for is when I lived full time in the Dominican. And we worked there in the manufacturing, in the blending, in the office, and was much smaller then, and I was able to see the growth of it. And the between the line, Nicole, it's a funny story about that, but I I just fell in love with the between the line because I love style and the whole profile of that cigar. But my brother Carlos, we first came out with the Hemingway line. So it's a perfecto shape, which is originally a shape from Cuba. So he came out with the Hemingways, the short story, and it goes all the way from the short stories to the masterpiece. So when we were children, we used to always watch Captain Kangaroo and stuff together. It's really funny. But my mother used to give us this chocolate ripple ice cream, that vanilla with the chocolate, and it was like my favorite. And so we had this inspiration to my brother Carlos. Like, I think he was thinking ever since he was a child about cigar blending or something. So he thought of that, coming back to a story from my mother. The chocolate and the dark and the light wrapper, it's like a milk chocolate milkshake. The flavors of the two wrappers coming together. So I just fell in love with it, and we worked on it together. But that came apart. We were the first ones, manufacturers in the marketplace that had the barber pole, and I believe that it doesn't compare to any other. I mean, I actually haven't smoked anybody's else, but I believe that our between the line it's unique in itself. It really is. I just love it. I love it. And Ariel, a gentleman, he's a master blender, and he'll make like different cigars for me with the between the line, but he'll put all the different wrappers with the candela wrapper, the green with the natural and the Maduro. And I believe that cigars are to be shared. So when I have those cigars, like all these different exotic, when I'm out in the marketplace, I love to share them and give them out, and people love them. But the different wrappers, when they come together and you're smoking it, you can actually experience it, the flavors in your mouth. So yeah, that's always kind of like it became my cigar because I loved it, and I always loved to smoke it, and it's like a trademark already, and I love it.
So I have an interesting question for you. Um, Aside from Fuente, is there a cigar out there that you do enjoy smoking?
Oh, God.
I know that's. I know it's almost like the cardinal sin question.
Hey,
But I have to ask
I'm
it.
okay. No, okay. All right.
Fuente.
I actually, to be honest with you, I believe that there's a lot of wonderful cigars out there, and there's so many manufacturers. I think today more than ever producing wonderful cigars. I personally do not smoke anybody else's cigars, but I believe that there are a lot of wonderful cigars. Now, for an example, if we're at a TAA convention or the IPCPR and we go to an event, like especially the TAA, different manufacturers host different events. So if I'm at Rocky Patel's, I'll smoke his cigar, and it's very enjoyable. And or if I'm at George Padron's event in Orlando, I'll smoke their cigar. And I've enjoyed them. They're good. I believe that there's a lot of wonderful cigars, but for me personally, I only smoke my own.
That's a fair answer.
I was having a conversation last night on the same thing that you mentioned, Cynthia, about how fortunate we are at this time to have great cigars as consumers. And I was sitting with the consumers last night, and Corona's got thousands of different brands. And I said to a guy, I said, you know how lucky you are? I go, that you can go in there, and I go, there's not one cigar that's garbage. I go, think about that. And I go, and you got to see this at the beginning of for your entire life. I mean, there's times where there just was a shortage of good products, and at Fuente you make as many as you can make, and the demand's always astronomically higher than what you can produce. And there was times where there's just garbage
Very
out there, and
true.
it's really great to be a consumer where you can you can go in and grab something at random, really, and it's going to be an enjoyable experience. But I think that also supports really traditional brands as well, because what you go back to, we've been talking earlier, you go back to what you're used to, what's home. Home's where the heart is.
Right. Right, of
And
course.
those traditional manufacturers like yourselves are, get to play a major role in that, because you're really the company that established that. With 109 years. If you look at that, it feels like it was just yesterday that was the 100th anniversary. But when you said
It does.
1912 again,
It
I was
does.
like, man, wasn't it just 100 years? And that was almost a
It
decade ago.
does.
But you're
That's
really
hard to
the
believe.
company that started this, that started that level of consistency. For 109 years, that's what it's been about, and really ushered in raising the bar, I believe, for this industry to be where it is today,
Thank
where
you.
everything must be very good.
I remember, John, that you say that during the boom in the 90s, that it was difficult because cigars were so much in demand. And unfortunately, a lot of people were coming in to make a fast dollar. And there was a lot of cigars that were not properly fermented and aged and so forth. But we stayed true to ourselves. And my father and my brother and I, we never changed our blends. We never changed our wrappers. We stayed with the African Cameroon wrapper 100%. And if we could not make enough cigars for the demand, then we just did the best we could. And we added another factory. We did everything in our power. And fortunately, we have a lot of tobacco, a lot of aged tobacco. But the people are going to Indonesian tobacco and so forth, whatever it may be. But there was so much cigars that were probably not very flavorful. But today, you look at it, I agree that the consumer, for one, wants to be educated. They want to learn. And when you go into a smoke shop, you're going to be able to find a lot of great cigars. And there's so many people, just like Lito Gomez, he came into the industry and he came in to stay, and he's done wonderful. And like Rocky Patel, he was an attorney and he came into the industry, and look what a difference he's made. And so I do agree that the consumer nowadays is very fortunate that there's a lot of wonderful cigars out there.
And you mentioned those two names, and if you look at who are those people's mentors, it was your father. It's been you and your brother. It was your grandfather that these people latched onto. Jose Orlando Padron.
Yes,
those were
yes.
those people that were really in it for the long haul. It really seeks out the knowledge of those people, and it's not. I don't think it's a coincidence that these group of people still have this relationship today, and they're still the ones that are representing it that way. But it's really a testament to that. It's a unique thing what the family's done, and there won't be anything like it again by any means.
Thank you. And I also feel, I'm very happy for like all the boutique brands that have come into the marketplace too, and like Gabby Caffey. And they are working so hard, and they've made such a mark in our industry, and we're just delighted. And one thing that's really beautiful about the cigar industry, and it's been an example from even during the boom, like when somebody comes into the industry, they know like we're willing to help one another. We want to, because we want everybody to be successful, and there's room for everybody. For me, there's no room for jealousy or control. There's room for everybody. That's the way that I feel. So yes, I do believe that, and it's exciting. There's such good tobacco, like we were talking earlier, from the Dominican, from Nicaragua. Nicaragua was, well, Dominican, when my father went there in 1980, you could drive around the whole city, like I think in 5 minutes. And it's changed. It is a incredible city how it's grown. And Nicaragua was just like a spot, and that has grown so much. So many manufacturers have gone there, and so Honduras. There's a lot of wonderful tobacco going on. So we're very proud of that.
Absolutely, yeah. That's it's always a pleasure to have these conversations with manufacturers and to hear their thoughts and their views on so many different things. But having said that, it is time for our news segment. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
We're going to hit the news and the sports. First, we'll hit our
Okay.
news segment, which is brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars, our friends over at McAuliffe. If you're not an
Yes,
ambassador, become
yes.
one today. John still, I don't think, has an ambassador coin, but it should get to you eventually.
I know. We'll see what happens. It might be waiting for me in Miami. I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I'm not going to talk any trash
Yeah.
about McAuliffe tonight until I can confirm. But when I get back this weekend, if it's not there, I can bet you next Wednesday. I'm going to be pretty honest about it with him.
Yeah, I think Andy Yaffe will be getting a phone call. Our biggest news story for the week, we have it up on SmokinTabacco.com if you want to read the whole article. But just to kind of hit on the highlight here, the Amendola Family Cigar Company has struck a distribution deal with Illusion, which is great. It shows, I would say it shows some growth with them. It'll, expand their reach a little bit more. John, I believe you saw that story, right?
Yeah, I saw the story. I'll be very honest with you, Matthew. I'm not overly familiar with Amendola. I've heard of them, but I am not very overly familiar with them as a company. I think with the distribution situation they have, just announcing that will be significant for their business. Dion with Illusion is very well respected in the industry, and I think it'll be a good movement. But I'm not very familiar with cigars. I don't know if I've even smoked one before. So I'm interested to try it and see where it goes, and hopefully for them it works out and results in more exposure in the market.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that familiar with them myself. I don't think I've had them either, but they've been kind of just there on my radar. I have heard of them for a while, but when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is a good step in the right direction for them to partner up with Illusion. I think it'll definitely help them expand their reach. Definitely help them in the market. I think it'll be interesting to see just how much they can grow from this in the coming year. That's all we had for the news this week, and I want to roll right into our sports segment so we can go back to
I
Cynthia.
do have sports news.
I'm sure you do.
So our local sports news.
Ooh.
Okay, hold on one second. Our news segment brought to you by Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova, make Nova big. If you head over to novacigar.com, you can save 15% off your next order by using our discount code SMKTAB15 on checkout with your order. So, John, I'm going to let you go right into sports then. You have some groundbreaking news, it sounds like. You're all excited.
So this comes out of New England, and it comes out of my home state of Maine. My brother and best friend, Matthew Mulligan, a 9-year NFL veteran, is going to be inducted into the Maine Sports Hall of Fame this year. He just posted it online today.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
There's a gentleman up in Maine. His name's Bill Green. I used to do a local show called Bill Green's Maine on NBC up there. They set up a surprise for Matt. I believe it was today or yesterday with his friend Mike DeVito, who he played football with for over 15 years through college and in the pros. They set him up and tricked him, and he's going to be inducted into the Maine Sports Hall of Fame in September. So that's kind of cool. A little
Congratulations. That's nice.
Yeah, it was really awesome. And everybody's really excited. We're from a small town, so it's something really special. And we used to play sports together growing up. He was my arch rival, and I went a different direction than sports. So it's been fun to live vicariously through him. And we always joke around and we're curious about whatever happens to one happens for the group. And so it's fun. It's fun for it's gonna be fun for us and fun for his family, and something truly special there. So there's some local news for you there in the northeastern United States.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's really not much else on other sports news. It's been a little slow the last couple of weeks. There's no football, no baseball. There's basketball and hockey. The seasons have just started, so there's really nothing crazy. There's no playoff heat coming yet on those fronts. There's NASCAR, but again, it's been all the winners from the first 3 races have been kind of dark horses. They've kind of come out of nowhere. It's been interesting for racing, but it's just been a little different. But I think that's gonna do it for news this week because, like I said, it hasn't been too big. So let's dive back into our conversation with Cynthia. So Cynthia, one of the things...
I love the way you all do the news, so you keep everybody up on the sports and what's happening in the industry. I like that.
We try to mix it up, keep people informed, mix it up, do something different, create a little bit of a flow, break it up. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, Tampa did pretty good in 2020, considering with our
yeah,
sports. So we're pretty proud.
yeah,
Well,
And
they
of all
took
the
Tom
years that we
Brady.
did so well, yes, I know, believe me. Yes. My girlfriend especially was very happy that we got Tom Brady. But I'm saying that we did so well, and then unfortunately so many people couldn't even go into the stands to see it.
I
But
know.
we're very proud. Yeah, Tampa's proud. We did good.
Yeah, you should be proud. It's
After being terrible for so many years, I mean, the Buccaneers finally are, yes.
yeah, that was really, and it was exciting for us to watch too. Being all from the three of us are from New England, so for us to watch it was nice too. We were like right there with you. So that was awesome to watch. In Tampa, the Rays went to the World Series and the Lightning won the Stanley Cup. It's been a crazy year for
Yes,
Tampa. Crazy year.
yes,
We'll
yes,
we'll see if they can. We'll see how they fare in 2021.
yes.
See if they can
I
repeat.
agree. But we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was something that I think a lot of, especially loyal Fuente fans know, but I think most serious cigar smokers, if you're up on the industry and stuff, know is the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation. And now that's the
Yes,
charity that your family runs. It's very special. You guys even
thank
have
you.
special releases that you do with
Hmm.
cigars that go towards that and help fund that. You guys do special events. I know there's been auctions that you guys have done and just very involved. And it's all for the benefit of children in the Dominican Republic. And I think that's really special. Um,
Thank you.
Remind me, just guys, I don't think remember off the top of my head. It's
Okay.
how long has that charity been going on for?
Yes. Yes, since the early 2000s.
Okay.
2000. We started having an idea what we wanted to do like in 1999, but in the early 2000s is when we formed the foundation together with the Newman family. And I appreciate you bringing that up and that you're also passionate and you're a supporter. And I thank both of you, Nicole and John, and you, Matthew. We're very, very proud of our foundation and we've worked very, very hard for it. So we're joint venture with the Newman family that they've been in business for 125 years.
Yep.
And so we started the school, and it actually is on close to our actual tobacco farm, Chateau de la Fuente, which is also another beautiful place, birthplace of a dream. It's a paradise there. So the school now is over 550 students, and we just recently, well, because of the virus and so forth, a little bit delayed, but we have opened a technical school as well.
Wow.
But yeah, and these children it's from pre-K to 12th grade. And it's beautiful to see because we have literally watched these children from pre-K grow all the way to 12th grade. And like a very large percentage, like over 90%, they're having the opportunity to go to college now. These children were, unfortunately in a very bad position, very, very poor area, and they had no hope for the future.
Hmm.
So these children, like when we were at the farms and so forth, they would come up to us, and their dream was hopefully that perhaps they can work on the farm someday. Never dreamed that they could fulfill their dreams in education or what have you. So my brother Calito and Eric Newman, they just brainstormed together, and they came up, let's start like an elementary school. So the Newmans and the Fuente families, we have really fought very, very hard, and we're so proud of the school. And it's because of people like you. It's because of the consumers. It's called Cigar Family Charitable Foundation. It doesn't have Fuente or Newman. We both families undergo all the administration costs, which naturally is very costly, but 100%, whatever money goes directly to these children. And these children know it, and they're just so happy because they feel like they have a future. So we have had children that have graduated and they have gone on to be teachers. We have Nelson Suarez. His dream was to become a doctor, and now he's a neurosurgeon.
Wow.
And we have, accountants and engineers who have come back to work at our factory, Tabacalera Fuente, to have come back to work in the school. So it serves like 5 different regions, So we've been able to make a difference. And I believe, again, if I may say that I'm very proud of the Fuente family and the Newman family because we have set an example. And other manufacturers and other people have gone out there to try to build school and to try to help children because the education is our children are tomorrow. My younger daughter is a teacher for special needs, and I see, the love she has for children, and it's beautiful to be educated and have the opportunities. So we do the Toast Across America, like you mentioned, Matthew. So we have
Hmm.
a box of two very rare cigars, one Newman and one Fuente, and they're not available for sale. Just they're special for the Toast Across America. So we do different fundraisers, and the manufacturers, well, both manufacturers give to the brick and mortars, and they're all so supportive, and they sell the toast packs, and 100% of that money goes to the children. So it's really exciting, and we also see, like talking about the day of tomorrow, that like Drew Newman is on the board, and so is Liana, and they have passion to continue to for that school, to for the day of tomorrow for that school to continue. It's really beautiful, and I hope that you three will have the opportunity to be able to come to the Dominican. I know you have a lot of invitations. You Matthew, you and Nicole have a lot of invitations.
We
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 do.
You
do.
have a
We
lot to
do.
make up for
We
because you
have a
haven't been able
lot.
to travel, right?
We
But I
we're
hope,
we're slowly starting to cross some of them off our list. We will be traveling to Florida the first week of May. We will be getting down there and going around and checking out a lot of places, meeting up with a lot of people. But internationally is on hold for now, but we will get to it as
yes,
soon as we can, and we'd love to. Like,
we all will. Yeah,
it's going to be a great time when we can do that.
yeah.
One of the things I
But
was gonna.
we do invite you. We hope that you'll be able to come to the Dominican Republic and see the school for yourself. Okay,
Mhm.
so I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
No,
do
go ahead.
apologize. But last week I seen that you had Angela Yu on the show.
Yes.
And that's a prime example. She went to the Dominican Republic like 3 years ago, and when she seen the school for itself, she fell in love with those children, and she has been so passionate. And this what happens to so many people because there's so many charities that we can give to. But when you go there and you see what we're doing there, that we have martial arts, we have dance, we have music, so many opportunities for these children to be able to be something of themselves and to grow. So we invite you. We hope that you'll be able to come and visit the factory and visit the foundation and the farm and everything.
We really appreciate that, and we would
Yes,
love to, and we will absolutely take you up on that as soon as it's safe and possible to do so.
right, of course, of
Um,
course.
but we would
Next year.
we would love to come down, and it's funny you bring that up because that's actually what I was gonna kind of lead into is we did have Angela on the show, and we were talking with Angela, and she was telling us about her experience with the foundation and all of that, and it's when I started smoking tobacco way back in the beginning, before I really even had the direction of what we were going to do with it. Um, I had said from the beginning, if I could grow this platform into something where I had enough of a soapbox and enough of an audience that I could use that to help someone else, help others, and give back, I would. It's always been part of my plan, and I think we're slowly getting there. We're always growing, and that's part of life. But I think we're slowly getting there, and it's a conversation that I've had with Nicole recently. And while I don't have a concrete plan yet, I'm not saying anything, but we are kicking around some ideas. And one thing we talked about was potentially, if we can put it together, because we are getting close. But for our 1 year anniversary of the Smoking Tobacco Show, a lot of times, we do like giveaways and stuff like that. I would like to try and do something. Um, no matter how big or small it is, I'd like to do something, if I could, to give to the foundation, and continue to do so for years to come as we continue to grow. And it's something I definitely would like to be involved in. And I said that to Nicole, and I said I don't know. I remember in the beginning I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what I'm going to do. But as time has gone on and I've spent some time, that is definitely a foundation that I would love to help.
And I think we do have
Thank
something
you.
that we will be announcing very shortly for our 1 year anniversary.
Okay.
So people will have to
Yes.
stay tuned for
Beautiful.
that one, just as we're finalizing
Okay.
details.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
there
Well,
will be,
count us in.
yeah.
Whatever we can do to help, count us in. And we appreciate your love and your support for the foundation. And so we
Absolutely.
welcome it, and we would love to be part of it. We appreciate it. And like I said, because of people like you and because of each individual, it doesn't matter if it's $5 or it's $50, every dollar counts. And it really goes a long way, especially in the Dominican Republic. One would be surprised, like just $100 bill, how far that can go. Like nowadays, you can't go to a dinner, a nice dinner for $200 or what have you. But yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, something.
But that money goes so far for these children and for the school, so it's very, very, very appreciated.
It does,
Right.
and just something. It's something close to myself as well. So my mother is
Thank you.
Irish and lives in England,
Okay.
and so
Oh,
my
wow.
grandparents did as well. But for I want to say at least 15 years, they went to the Dominican Republic every year. My elderly grandparents,
Oh,
and they would take a suitcase and they would go
wow.
back because they met so many friends that
Yes.
lived there. You know, people that worked in the resorts and
Uh-huh.
whatnot. So it'd be cute. You know, my 80-year-old grandmother would be taking pictures of like her and like clothes and just things she's
Oh,
bringing to the people that she met there. You know, and I've had, I've been fortunate enough to go a
that's
couple times
special.
myself. Um, so it's such a special
Beautiful.
place, and the people there, they need our
Good.
help. So
They
that's what
do. They do.
matters.
I mean, there's rich and there's poor.
Yeah,
There's not in between. But the poor really do need it. And
yeah.
I know a lot of people, like you say, like your family, they go with suitcases and they just come back home with just the clothes on their back.
They give
They leave
everything
everything
away.
there. Yeah. And it's amazing, like the one thing for us that we wouldn't even think twice about, it's so important to them. So
We
I'm so glad that you've been able to visit the Dominican, and I hope that you'll be able to have the opportunity.
Yep.
We always welcome people there, and there's always room for volunteer opportunities and just to be there and to see those kids. I love them to death. I mean, and I miss it really bad. I can't wait to be able to get back. And I mean, the whole school system hasn't been normal, unfortunately, for the last year, but it will. It's getting there. We're all moving towards that direction. So I'm happy for that too.
So Cynthia, I had an interesting question for you. And we talk a little bit about the past, um, in terms of what you've already done. If you could go back and you could have done anything differently so far in your, not even just like your career, so to speak, but just your involvement in the family business. If you could have done anything different, even if it's one thing, what would that thing have been?
Hmm.
This looks like a
I
tough
don't
one.
I
know.
know.
I don't really think that I would do anything different. Maybe never leave the Dominican Republic. I, not move back to the United States.
Yeah.
I think maybe I might have stayed there longer. I lived there over 10 years, and because of the business, because we do everything mostly because of the business, and it was important for me to move back to the United States market at the time. Um, I would have liked to have stayed living there longer. I love the Dominican Republic. I love the country. And I spent a lot of time there, but I'm not full time there. I think perhaps that would have been, but like to change things, I would have taken every extra moment with my father working by his side. But I was fortunate to have so much time with him. But when you get like a little bit more mature in life, you realize like the 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 value of things. And I really value everybody we've worked with. I perhaps maybe would have loved to have spent more time with people that like Danilo on the farm. He worked with us for almost 30 years. And I spent a lot of quality time with him, but I wish I would have had more and things
Yeah.
like that. But to change something, I don't think I would have changed anything. I really don't. I'm really happy the way I don't really think so.
What would you say
Mm-mm.
the most
I
important
mean,
thing?
I'm sure there's something, but what? I mean, I sure there's something I can come up with, but actually, like I said, I think that when I left the Dominican Republic, you know how when you're on stage and you're a terrible comedian, they take you away with that, you know.
Yeah.
They just
I
start
mean,
pulling
it's
you
like
off.
they had to drag me out of the country. Okay, Cynthia, now your next step is you need to move back to Tampa. And we were like, oh my God, I don't really want to. I love Tampa, but that's how much we love the country. And the Dominican Republic has been so good to us, and us in return have really made a huge difference there. So I really I miss that a lot. Yeah.
We talk a lot about family as in the cigar industry with everyone that comes on. It's such a
Yes.
family-oriented business. Your family in particular is no exception to that. It's a big family, and you around your own father learning the business. Um, and I know that it's probably different for Carlito, but for you, what would you say was the most important thing that you learned from him that you've carried with you through everything you've ever, whether it's cigars
My
or
father,
yeah, from your father?
from my father, Carlos, I learned so much. But I learned that one could really do anything one wants if one puts their heart into it 100%. That nothing's really impossible for the impossible.
Yeah.
I learned that this world, we're put into it for a reason, and we should really search what our purpose is. And even if we can't give, find a way to give, to help. I learned about dignity. I learned about love of family, dedication to family. I learned about honesty. I learned about security. I learned about communication. I mean, there's so many things where you could tell I love him. But I mean, like, it was uh, just incredible I mean, I was chosen in this world to be Carlos Fuente's daughter. And I'm
Yeah.
so proud of that. And he just was an example without even meaning to be. He just was himself. But in his life, everything he did was just out of purity and just honesty. I learned a lot about being humble. Maybe if there's one main word, I perhaps may choose that.
Yeah.
Because through everything and how our business has grown and so forth, I believe that we have remained very, very, very humble because we are humble. And that's another example. That's where we came from. So there's so much. There's so much. And again, I feel very, very fortunate that I was able to have those years and to be his daughter.
Now, when you look at kind of your family history, all the way back to your grandfather, there's your father, there's you and your brother, and now there's this newer generation of the Fuente family
Right.
coming in. Liana is certainly a part of that next generation as well.
Mm-hmm.
You start to look back, like your grandfather's legacy, your father's legacy. Obviously, you guys talk a lot about your dad, Carlos. And you talk about their legacy and what they left behind. What would you say your legacy that you've left behind, not even just Fuente, but even just in the cigar industry as a whole?
I like to say that, like we talked about earlier, being an example to many women out there that have a question like, what do I want to do or how do I want to do it? I would like for them to know that you could do it if you want to. Just put your heart and soul into it, and 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 just go out there and figure it out. But there's always that sunshine that you can reach. And I would like to for everybody to always remain like to have this love in your heart and to share it with others and to give. I just have this extremely generous heart. Gosh, but I and my father was like that, and my mother was like that, my brother, and my father uh, really showed us that it's very important to be able to give to the unfortunate or whatever it may be. So I would like it to for people to know that no matter even if you have $10 and you can give two and help somebody, then give just the two. But it's important to not only think of oneself but to think of others. And for not only for men and women, it's like no matter what you want to do, if you really concentrate, do like follow your passion. I think it's so important. Find your purpose and follow that purpose.
A lot of people, would say, who follow you guys, on social media and online or go to events, whatever. A lot of people, know all of your family, but certainly now, kind of the spotlight's kind of on you and your brother. Who would you say? This is kind of a random shot out of a cannon.
Okay.
More of a fun question. Who would you say is more fun when you guys are together, or if you're at
Mm.
events, you guys are having a good time? And I've seen your videos. The Fuente family, you guys have a lot of fun. But who's more fun? Is
Yeah.
it you? Is it you, or is it your brother?
Oh gosh.
Who gets
I
crazier?
don't know.
I should say. Who's
I
crazier?
well, I can go longer. I could definitely like. I think we're both. Well, I think we both enjoy everything. But he always teases me like, "Oh my God, Cynthia, like you never know when it's a no." Because like if we're like in an event or what have you, it's very serious, and we do our event and we're working, but we're never the first ones to leave. We're always the ones to leave last, and we just make sure that we get to everybody, and then we stay at the end, and then we enjoy, a relaxation or so forth. But I think that we both really, because my brother Calito has a huge zest for life, and he loves the best of foods and the best of wines and the best of cigars, and so I think both of us. I really do. I I don't know. I don't. I guess maybe that would be a question for somebody else. I don't really know. I don't know.
I figured I'd take a
I
stab
mean,
at it. I mean, you
I,
guys
I
definitely
know,
have a lot of
right?
fun.
I think we both, yeah, we really do. We actually really have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of fun with, we have such a great, like I said, we're so fortunate. Like in the Dominican, we have such a phenomenal staff. Like the girls, all our administration staff, they have been with us, like many of them for 20 years now. We have employees that have been with us since 1980, 1990. The longevity, and we have key people that like Cito and Jose and so many people that are so strong that stand behind us, and we, besides working so hard, we do have a phenomenal time together. We
Yeah.
do. So I think both, it might be a tie, or maybe I'll give it to my brother a little bit more. But he says that I always like, I could definitely party with the best one. That's for sure. You
John, you
could
ever?
ask Rocky. That's funny. They always say like when we're like happen to go to a wedding or event or something like, or we're at the big smoke,
Yeah.
and then all the different manufacturers get together, and so like it's so great, and we all stay in, like we're always the last ones. Rocky Patel and Cynthia Fuente are usually the last ones standing, and a lot of times, like literally, I mean, this is the funniest thing, and it's not even, but it's true. Like we've been at the big smoke, and then we're just all night. It's the last day. We're just relaxed. Or the IPCPR. It's 5 days, so long. It's the last day. Everybody's relaxed, and so literally, people are leaving our group and going to their hotel room to get their suitcase to go to the airport you know so
Yeah.
it's like all the manufacturers get together and they all have such a good time together, which I think is a wonderful thing too. But that cigars bring so many people together,
It does.
and I think, yeah, it's a party community, that's for sure. But everything in balance. I believe that balance is very important.
John, I was just gonna say you've been a little quiet over there. What are you up to? I see you drinking something. You drinking tea over there?
So I'm drinking tea, and the trains, the sunrail goes right behind the house here of
Ah.
my lady friend, and the train's been very active tonight. So there's a lot of people on the sunrail, it seems like. But I am drinking
Oh,
tea. I bought this tea that flowers.
oh, I
Oh,
like that.
that's pretty.
Different.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
awesome.
I
And
love
yeah,
tea.
so I've been drinking that. Oh, it's so good. So that's what I've been drinking tonight. But and
Okay.
I will attest to not only, Cynthia, are you able to stay up late, but you're just as elegant and put together at that time. Because there's a lot of people that can stay up late and be the last people to shut it down, but they're not necessarily have their wits about them. So I would say it certainly runs in your family with the ability to stay respectful and be put together at those times.
Yes, we keep it like soft as it goes along the night. That's, I guess, maybe the main thing.
But I have.
But you know, it's like when we're traveling, like you got to put your heart and soul to it. You know, when you're traveling and so forth, and you're doing different events, and we do it, and we absolutely love it. And of course, then you come home and you can sleep for a day, and then recoup, and then keep on going. But what were you saying, John?
Well, I was just saying, for the record, I have closed down Casa Fuente once with you in it.
Oh,
and I was being told to go out the front door and walk through the canal shops at their Caesars, and I actually said I'm with her, and they let us go out the private exit, which is significantly more convenient.
Very much more convenient. That's true. We all have definitely closed Casa Fuente down. Actually, we miss those days so much. Casa Fuente is a great place in Vegas.
I remember the last time I was there, I was in Vegas during IPCPR 2019, and I was there, and I was sitting at the bar, and I was having a cigar, and I was having one of the famous mojitos, and your brother walked in, and I remember everyone got excited, and everyone got fired up.
Yeah.
There he is, and I just remember sitting there being like, oh wow, that's Carlito Fuente. It was the first time I ever seen him in person, and I was like, oh my god, wow. And everyone was attacking him, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be one of the person that just mobs him and attacks him. And so I left him alone. I let him do his thing. And I was sitting there, and I was talking to, I believe his name is Michael, who works at Casa Fuente.
Michael Doherty?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Michael. Yes, of course, yes. Michael.
And I was talking
with him. But there's two Michaels, but.
And he said, oh yeah. He goes, you want to meet Carlito? And I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, like if it's okay. He was like, yeah, and he called your brother over, and he came right over, and that was when I met him, and it was a fun time. And Casa Fuente is such a great ambiance. It's a great atmosphere.
There's a picture somewhere too. We'll have to pull it out.
Somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So yeah.
John, I know we used to exit out that side a lot because we would always stay to the end, and if you have to walk all the way through Caesar's Palace. Forget it, you know. But like my brother Matthew, I know he was so happy to meet you because he is so happy to meet everyone, and we're so grateful when people go to Casa Fuente, and everybody goes, you know, different manufacturers, everybody. It's just one big, wonderful place to party in Vegas when we're at the show at the big smokes, and we definitely miss Casa Fuente a lot, and I miss Michael, both of the Michaels.
Well,
it's been a while, but we're looking forward to next year. Yeah.
We'll be there in July, and I'm excited because I get to take Nicole to Casa Fuente for the first time, and
that's wonderful.
That's like one of the highlights for me is I get to take her there. So I'm really excited about that. But
and all the wonderful restaurants.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could eat for days over there. What I will say though is I'm looking at the time, and we are getting towards the end of the show. But before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you for coming on. You are wonderful, and I appreciate the time. I know we all do. It's been a blast. This has just been one of the best episodes we've done. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
We had no technical difficulties, which is great.
Right.
That's always a plus.
I'm happy for that. Yes.
Yeah. But before we close out the show, we always like to throw the floor to our guest. You can say anything you'd like, any announcements, anything you want to say. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first I want to ask you, how are you enjoying your smokes tonight? John, how's that Casa Cuba?
It was awesome. And if you'd noticed, I smoked it until I burned my fingers, and then I was getting tobacco in my mouth and ash. So I had to
I think John's freezing up a little bit.
No, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad. And I hope you enjoy your dinner tonight too. I'm sure you're a little hungry right now. But good. And how did you all enjoy the 20th anniversary Opus X Blue? Fuente Opus X Blue.
So I think this is the first one we've both smoked.
Yes.
And
it
it's different than the other Opuses, but it's very good. It's very
Delicious.
good. I really, and no BS either. I always say that because it's like, oh well, you have the person on. No BS. This is a good cigar. Really enjoyed it. Great quality. The flavor was on point. Delicious. Great cigar.
Very good.
Mm.
It is different, like within the Fuente Fuente Opus X line, you've had the Angel Share and the Forbidden X and the Opus X Blues. They're each different, yet they're all connected. But I agree, they all have their special profile, but they're all wonderful. And I know, and Nicole, you had mentioned that you love the Angel Share. That's another one of my favorites as well.
And I'm very spoiled because Matthew just treated me to a box of the Reserva de
Oh,
Chateau. So I have that
good.
coming this week, a full box. So I'm like
Good. Very
very
good.
excited about that.
I believe that he takes very good care of you. You could see that.
He
I
does take
try.
good care
I
of me.
try.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, I've enjoyed my Don Carlos Personal Reserve. It's been a few days that I've smoked a cigar, so I have enjoyed this immensely. And I feel great because I had the opportunity to share this evening with each and every one of you, honestly. And for everybody out there, I am grateful for a lot of things in my life, but I know that this year has been very trying for so many people. And I pray for everybody out there that has been affected by the pandemic and that have lost loved ones, because most important thing, it's our health. And but at the same time, I'm grateful to the way that this incredible cigar community has come together and how many people I have been able to meet this year that or got to know a little bit on a personal level more. For an example, like John, we had a little bit of time with Casa Fuente, but today I was able to have more on a one-to-one and to have the opportunity to be on different podcasts like this and to see so many people like yourselves like being so successful. It really makes me happy. So I really want to thank everybody that's tuned in today, that has taken their time to listen in. And I really, really want to continue to stay connected, even when we all get back to whatever normal we're going to face, but to be able to continue these virtual things, because I think it's helped us all to be able to get through a trying year. And I just really want to thank everybody and to say that Fuente is very, very strong. Fuente is very grateful, and we're grateful for the 100 and almost 10 years that we've had in the past, but we're also looking forward to a very bright future. And I personally really want to thank everybody out there who's loyal to Fuente, who loves cigars, and I look forward to being able to share with you all in person and to be able to have a lot of future. So now I have the new extended family and you three. I would like to, and your mother. I hope to meet her sometime in person as well, Matthew.
absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, we'll be down in Florida in a few months, and
Okay.
hopefully we can run into you if we can. That'd be awesome.
Yes, I look
But yeah,
forward to that.
but thank you for coming on and thank you for the kind words.
Mhm.
It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. John, is there anything that you wanted to say before we closed out?
First of all, Cynthia, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I've followed your family throughout my journey in cigars, and you've all been nothing but supportive of what I've been doing, and we appreciate you coming on the show. I'd also like to
Thank you.
mention that you can go on SmokinTabacco.com and get this new hoodie. There was some
I like
question
it.
as if,
Yep.
yeah, it was nice. There was some question if it was going to fit me or not, because I put on a little bit of size here over the last year with COVID, but it fits perfect. It's really nice,
I like
lightweight,
it.
especially
It looks like the material is
Florida
so
night.
soft. I love it.
Yeah, it's like the t-shirt material. It's excellent. But you can jump on
Mhm.
SmokinTabacco.com and pick that up. All sorts
Okay.
of other swag. And then coming up on Monday, I'm gonna put this down because I look ridiculous with the hood up.
No, you
Coming
don't.
up on Monday, we've got Hacking Gourmet,
I love that.
and it's going to be called When Gourmet Eyes Are Hacking, and that
Ooh.
will be live at 5 p.m. March 8th, and we'll be all cooking Irish dishes. So join us for that on
Oh,
Monday.
that's fantastic.
That's gonna be
Oh,
fun.
great. My house is decorated like St. Patrick's Day right now. I'm big on decorations. I'm ready for St. Patrick's Day.
Get off the screen.
Okay.
I was gonna say it's still counting down. There you
That
go.
sounds wonderful.
Oh,
Good.
we lost
now
the
you
green
got
screen.
screen.
Uh-oh.
Uh
Oh, there we are.
oh. You know, I
Yeah.
spoke too soon.
I need to learn from you, John, because you had a great background. Like I said earlier, you look like you were somewhere in Ybor City, an historical Ybor City, which is, Matthew, you and Nicole definitely need to visit Ybor City, 7th Avenue. It's
Well,
fantastic.
We'll be there.
and John is actually going to be taking us for a tour for that entire week that we were traveling through Florida. So
Okay.
we will take a group photo in
Oh,
Ybor
really?
City.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're going to be the tour guide, John?
Yes, I am, and we're gonna be.
Okay.
We're gonna
Everywhere.
do. We're gonna be down there for Friday evening. We're actually staying at the brand new Hotel
Okay.
Haya there, right in Ybor, right down the
Beautiful,
street.
fantastic, great. Okay, good. And I hope that you are able to go visit the Newman factory,
We are.
because they have redone their whole entire factory and they're doing tours. They have a museum there. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful retail store. So please make sure that you call the Newmans, or I can set it up for you to be able to visit. And our facility has been closed because of the COVID, but we're hoping to open up soon because we have a beautiful historical building as well.
It's so I don't mean to change the subject, but I just saw this comment actually from your brother.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he says
Hello, Carlito.
I need a hoodie to sit around the go Ybor City.
What was
Oh,
that? I
that's
didn't get it.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
He said I need a hoodie to sneak around the hood. Go Ybor City.
Oh, exactly. Yes, very well
Well,
put.
you can go to smokintabacco.com and pick one up.
We're gonna get one. I'm gonna
Send
get
one
one for
down.
my brother
but
because he
what
loves black.
What I will
Yeah.
say is that with our anniversary, there might be some special
It looks
apparel that
great.
we do to raise money for the Cigar
Very good.
Charity Foundation.
Okay.
So
Thank
maybe
you.
people should
Okay.
wait because we're going to announce that later.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think everybody loves all the apparel.
Yes.
We also have the, at ArturoFuente.com, we have a lot of different apparel that we never used to have before.
He
And
owns
a
like
lot of
half
people
of it.
are really. Yes. Okay. Yeah. A lot of great
already done
hats
so
and
much
shirts
stuff.
and everything. That looks fantastic. Okay. I'm going to have to go for it.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah. So it's been fun even just being able to put our own
Wait,
apparel store up.
I
And
will say just super quickly, I'm going to interrupt. There needs
Go
to
ahead.
be something
Okay.
for rare pink on the Arturo Fuente store. Something for
Oh,
females.
yes.
Oh,
That is
Yes.
that is missing,
Oh,
and I would
we're
buy it.
definitely working on that. That's been a great project. And everybody seems to really have enjoyed the rare pinks. They are fantastic. They really are. But
Delicious.
there's some stuff that for that as well. There's going to be some new things, and so if anybody's interested, you can go on ArturoFuente.com, and we have a merchandise store too. But I love that you all always have. I mean, Smokin Tabacco is perfect, and that's your last name. I mean, how much
Yep.
more perfect can that be,
I
right?
know, right?
Okay.
It just worked that way, and I just went with it.
It's just
That's
meant
it.
to be.
Meant to
How
be.
much, I mean, really, how much, some things are just meant to be, right? And
Absolutely.
it seems like, honestly, it seems like you and Nicole are meant to be. You'll make a beautiful couple. And you're very lovely. You really are, Nicole.
Thank
That's
you.
So
so
I
nice.
wish you all, no, I mean it. I really do. I wish you all the luck. And again, thank you for including me and tonight. And thank you, Jose Blanco, too. Absolutely.
Yes.
Because I've met so many people through Jose. He knows everybody. And I am so happy that we've been able to meet so many new people this year. Or people we have met at different events, but never really had an opportunity, like I mentioned earlier. So
Right.
thank you, Jose.
Nicole, is there
He's
anything you
probably
wanted to
up
say?
listening.
No announcements. We have our new show schedule, and next week we have
Okay.
the guys Omar and Zev from Fratello Cigars on next week's show.
Should be a fun
Very well.
episode. Well, if that's
Okay.
it, then that's it for the show. It was a great time, Cynthia. Again, thank you. Stay with us really quickly as we go off the air.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that's it, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay smoky. See you guys. Good night.
Stay
Bye, everyone.
smoky. Love it.